This was an accidental discovery for me. Essentially, I would call it accidental because, I was wondering what's with men. And you can't beat me. You cannot beat me in doing bizarre things. I think I take the cake away. So I just happened to see this book, and I took it and I thought it must be a great read. I was judging the book by its cover, let me tell you. This book essentially is more about not just about discovering men and women, not just discovering how different they are. It just throws a completely different dimension as to how you would understand the value and meaning of perspectives. A couple of things which I just pasted here, which are very relatable. Men and women act very differently in different situations. Women hate it when you find a similar shirt onto the other women, but men like it and they're like, bro. Women can't get away from the feeling of how fat am I getting, and the man will always look at the other end like, kya ho raha hai tujhe yaar? So, and this one very special. This is a pasted copy from a book called Why Men Can't Listen, Why Women Can't Read Maps. But this picture is very special and close to my heart. If I read it correctly for you, you have hidden the butter from me against Cheryl. There is none in the fridge. Exactly what my husband is. The thing will be right there, but he will not be able to see it. And he will say, it was not there. And suddenly I will come and within a split of a second I will be able to find it for him. So men, as you know, cannot ask for directions. They feel very confident that, we know it all. They'll keep going round and round in circles, but will feel ashamed to stop for a second and ask. So a couple of these instances I've pasted very, very close to my heart. I felt like deja vu, and I just kept it reading over and over again. Now, the first lesson this book taught me is laying the ground rules. Steve takes very many instances, examples of how a man is behind a woman, what woman should do. You should lay your ground rules. But when you read it through, you actually understand such an important lesson. Lay down ground rules. Now that's applicable not just for a man and woman relationship. It also applies to your corporate relationship. It also applies to the place you work, your relationship with your friends, family. There are examples like, one very small example is getting over-possessive mother-in-law. A woman has written a letter to Steve, and Steve is saying, did you lay the rules in front of your husband? And more often than not, if you ask a question to yourself when you are stuck, you would realize that in whatever relationship, in whatever space you're talking about that problem, you wouldn't have laid the ground rules in first place. You have you have a bad co-worker, you wouldn't have laid a rule. You have a bad reporting team, you wouldn't have laid the rule of what quality of work do you want. You have a relationship which is going sour, you wouldn't have told in first place. And what more importantly in this book you realize, if the rules are not followed, that's not worth it. The second lesson which this book has taught me is to understand the psychology of man. There is a small reference of there's a reference of a boy who's learning to cycle, and essentially he falls down. And there is written that a man is built in such a way that he is attuned to protect, profess, and provide. So the moment there is a problem in front of the man, he'll quickly get into the providing mode. He will want to solve it, resolve it, there will be a solution, he will figure that out. Because, this boy who was learning how to cycle fell down, and nobody said, oh, stand up and talk to various people, say how much bruised you are and stuff like that. He was expected to get up and get onto the cycle once again. So fix it mode. Don't cry, don't crib, fix it. So it's more often than not you'll find a woman will complain, oh, I keep talking to this man who doesn't listen for 2 hours. This is not a nature of a man. And if I am thinking like a man, I would get into the fix-it mode, which has helped me in my personal life a lot of times. So I now no more try to find shoulders and friends to talk about a problem. I get into the fix-it mode immediately. There is a quick reference of how a sports fishing versus a keeping is referred to in the book in context to the dating. But that also defines a very important aspect, which is that if you respect yourself, respect your time, you are not a pullover, you're not somebody who's taking yourself for granted, you are accommodative but not at the expense of yourself, then you are a keeper. Otherwise, you'll be a sports fisher. I mean, people will just take you, they will fish you, they will flaunt you like a trophy, but they'll put you back into the sea. They will not keep you. The lesson number 3, have control over the situation. In a very quick 10-seconder, Steve has mentioned about his life where he was not a comedian. He was given a chance once to do an opening act before the main stage comedian used to come. And he had literally 15 minutes. He said, that were my 15 minutes to give the best performance I could. And I made that time. So when you have a situation you have no control on, your response is what you should control. Make the best of what you have and perform your best. So finally, frankly, I would give a takeaway. It's hard to be a woman. You must think like a man, act like a lady, look like a young girl and work like a horse. Third one I will debate, but all the remaining 3, I actually agree to. So there is a reverse psychology. If you know how a man behaves, if you know why we always wonder why there is a disturbance in the relationship, why there are working relationships problems, why a situation is not handled the same way I would handle, why is my boyfriend not giving me 2 hours to listen and understand? The answer perhaps lies in accepting the difference and understanding how the DNA of a man and women were different, and actually taking a very bold lesson that you must think like a man. It really helps a lot because it helped me personally in my career, in my personal life. And by the way, my husband still wins, but I still want to actually make it a point that winning will be together. Thank you so much.